My name is Andrew, and I am a co-founder of the company, the NGINX company. And here's Nick. He works with me on certain things related to the project that I'm going to talk about today. So the topic for this presentation is NGINX Amplify, and this is the project and the product that we've been doing for the past year or so. And it's all about getting more visibility and control of your NGINX. And I would presume all of you guys have some relation to NGINX. I'm hoping you are all NGINX users. So would be just curious to know who's not an NGINX user here. Can you raise a hand? And oh, okay. So okay, that's good. All right. So first of all, thanks a lot for coming over to this conference. I'm very excited to see you guys here. And again, thanks for visiting. Hopefully this talk will be useful for you. So here's the question. If you are using NGINX, how important is for you to know more about what it's doing? And this is actually not a very simple question to answer. But let's begin with reiterating some important points from today's keynote. And I think the most important couple of points were that, as you would probably all agree, businesses are apps today, and unless you are online and basically permanently online, you are not in the business anymore, right? And the other thing which I personally found very fascinating and important is that your ability to run your website, and I would say nicely, directly affects the trust from your customers and can really have disastrous effects unless you're doing it right. And the other thing is that NGINX, as you probably experienced it yourself already, is very often, if not always, the most important entry point to your application, because it terminates the traffic, it routes the requests, it kind of handles your user load, it does so many useful things for your website that it's very important to understand how it works, does it work nicely, is it having any problems, and basically what's the state of it, right? And here I would say that, to paraphrase a famous quote, the hope is not a strategy here, right? And also luck is not a factor, so you should really know more about what it's doing. So how do we monitor NGINX? And a lot of you are probably, hopefully, are doing that already. So I would say with a bunch of do-it-yourself tools, basically, you can grab something and build something out of it to monitor NGINX, to parse the logs, to extract the metrics, to do your own analytics. You can install a variety of open source tools and assemble them yourself and do the data storage yourself. And then there are certainly a lot of monitoring solutions out there on the market, which are more like generic monitoring solutions and also having plugins for NGINX. And a lot of these tools work great. More on that later. But obviously the other thing is that you can do nothing, hoping that NGINX just works, as many people would say sometimes. And while it's true, NGINX just works, but I wouldn't really recommend this strategy, so you should really monitor it somehow. So having said that, about a year ago, we just came to the idea finally that quite a few of NGINX users out there, especially NGINX open source users, and especially users who might have a single server or a couple of servers, maybe 5 to 10 servers, they don't really have any monitoring for their NGINXs because maybe they didn't realize how important it is, maybe they didn't have enough time, maybe they didn't have enough resources for that. Maybe the entire monitoring idea is kind of, I don't know, alien to them, whatever. But we just thought that it might be useful to provide an easy to start with tool for NGINX monitoring, something that is kind of native, NGINX-centric, specialized in NGINX monitoring. And this is how we came up with this idea of NGINX Amplify. So the idea is to have a native cloud monitoring solution for NGINX that you can really start with in less than 10 minutes, and which will provide the most important, the most essential information about what your NGINX is doing. So these are the these are the goals for what we do. Really help people to bootstrap their monitoring ideas as related to NGINX and possibly their system. But it also that we wanted to at least try to help people to think more about their NGINX configuration. So the tool that we did can actually understand your NGINX config structure and will try to predict certain quirks or anomalies or some gotchas that you can accidentally stumble upon unless you are aware of them and familiar with them. So this is what we've been trying to do as well. And it's intended to be augmenting an existing monitoring tool if you already have one. And I will tell you more about what it is now. Yeah, I'm sorry. So the essential features of Amplify are it's a lightweight solution, so it's not really a burden as a monitoring tool, as yet another monitoring tool. So it's really lightweight UI and UX, and it's very lightweight agent on the host that is monitored. It can visualize easily your NGINX setup, and it can do graphs as any other monitoring solution, obviously, but it can do NGINX-specific graphs. It collects a lot of metrics that aren't necessarily collected by the standard plugins which are included with other monitoring solutions, other generic monitoring solutions. It has some nice features around custom graphing for those. It can, for instance, aggregate metrics around across different servers. It can do some additional slicing of NGINX metrics, basically helping you to understand more about your NGINX and apps behavior. In some ways, it's probably useful as a mini Splunk of sorts, if you will. It can do static analysis of NGINX configuration, helping you to understand the entire config structure, the number of elements in your config, and some interesting gotchas. It has built-in alerting, and it doubles as an operating system monitoring tool as well, if you don't have any. So the team, and this is pretty interesting, and I just wanted to have a slide on that. We are a relatively small team, which is mostly in San Francisco, and actually most of the team are here now, these front rows, and I would really like to say thanks for these guys to be with this project for over a year now and doing some hard work. So thank you guys. And the team is pretty interesting. It's young, it's enthusiastic, it's an agile DevOps mindset. The architecturally speaking, we have the solution based on Python, Node.js, and JavaScript. Obviously, is probably almost like a standard now. What's interesting is that I just thought it the other day that we kind of have like 15 years almost of collective experience building and operating some real large projects. And like I say on the slide, it's kind of cliche, but I still find some peace in knowing that. So we're actually hiring. So if you're interested, feel free to approach the team leaders and talk to them. So Nick is going to do an extended demo shortly on what the product is now. But I was just about to tell you a little bit more about the future roadmap for the product. So we are certainly going to include a little bit more things adjacent to NGINX to monitor with Amplify, things like PHP FPM metrics, for instance, because we think that it's important to combine those with the NGINX metrics for a clearer picture. We're definitely working on some improvements to the UI UX. So that's probably for for the folk who have tried Amplify or have been using Amplify. And hopefully this will be good news for you. We're definitely going to do more static analysis on the configuration structure and extending it into dynamic analysis. Basically, we will implement features around analyzing your actual server behavior, like performance behavior, and matching it to the config structure so that we can advise you what you can do better with the config to get better performance or spend less resources. And we're thinking really heavily on introducing external API and integrations that you can use it against other monitoring solutions or really augment the other monitoring solutions with more metrics from NGINX. And we're definitely working with our NGINX Plus users on some interesting approaches related to how we can augment Amplify with more useful tools for NGINX Plus users too. So now it's a demo time, and I would like to invite Nick to do it. This is the demo describing this is the slide describing the demo setup.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. So my name is Nick Shadrin. I'm a technical solutions architect with NGINX and based in San Francisco. So being a technical solutions architect, I speak a lot with our commercial users and the open source users alike. And many users are asking the question about how to monitor NGINX properly and what are the best practices for that. So before we actually dive into the configuration of Amplify, let's do this little thing. So there is Amplify team of developers right here in front of us. Can you please stand up so everybody would see the people who actually make this thing, and they are in the code every day. Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Ivan. Thank you, Grant, Rohan, Eugene, and Igor. So they make this thing possible. All right. So in this demo, what we'll be looking at is an interesting setup of an NGINX Plus instance, load balancing a number of NGINX open source containers. And this is basically the extension of the demo shown at the keynote. Since that demo system is already fully configured, I will show you two different things. One will be a deep dive into the existing configuration with the running live traffic. And the other one will be the configuration and the setup of NGINX Amplify from scratch, from the very beginning of how it's done. So let me dive out from the slides. And let's first actually start with a simple view of NGINX Amplify, the way you will see the screen yourself when you log in. We can go ahead and sign up, but I already have an account here, so I will just log into to the account I have. And since this is a completely new account, first thing that we see is the invitation for us to configure an Amplify agent. Amplify agent is a software that runs inside your Linux system, and the requirement that we actually need here is to have Python installed. Oops. So I obviously have Python right here, and that is good enough for me. All right, so we downloaded the install script, and what we see here is our API key, and we need to run the installation script with our API key. Sounds good. It's working. While it's running, let me see if I already have an NGINX version installed. So it looks like I have the latest NGINX Plus R10, and this is very good. Looks like NGINX is working, and look at that. Amplify agent is already installed, as we can see right here in the next tab. And the agent is posting the logs right here in agent logs. And we have an invitation to read the documentation. All right. So while the agent is starting to collect the data, let me do another interesting thing here. I will run a little bit of load into that system just so it will be running something that we can actually enjoy. All right, while the agent is reading through the configuration and preparing its first data to be posted into Amplify Cloud, let me look through a number of features that we already have configured. So the first window with NGINX Amplify with the graphs and metrics is presenting you the full graph feed, and the window on the button on the lower left gives you that same view with the invitation to add a new system. So the installation script supports different flavors of Linux and FreeBSD, so it can be installed and configured easily, basically regardless of what system you have. When you need to select just specific systems, you can use our search field, so that reduces the list to the ones that are matched. All right. So if we look at the number of metrics available, we will see that parts of the metrics are directly related to the NGINX instances. In some cases, you will see that some of the metrics are actually unavailable. Usually it means that the Amplify agent needs to have access to all the correct logs, and all the correct status or stub status modules need to be configured. There is a clean link to the documentation right there, which allows you to learn how to configure that correctly. The next thing that we are going to look at is a set of inventory that appears on this button right here on the top. From here, we can see the information on each and every NGINX instance that you have. And it shows us everything about the hardware that it is running on. It shows information about networking and file systems. And in this case, these containers are running under the Docker engine, and they are running on an instance in the cloud. NGINX object is a different object in the system from the system itself, and you might have different NGINX installations and different NGINX master processes running within the same server. All of them will be properly identified and shown in this inventory window. All the information about the build and the information about the agent, API keys, and the type of object will be presented right here. So if we go out of this window, another thing is the configuration of every NGINX instance. And what's also quite interesting is this little button right here. So that page brings us into the NGINX Plus dashboard. So if you have NGINX Plus configured and not just the NGINX open source, you will see more metrics and more information on the system just by means of NGINX Plus having those metrics. So let's go out of that for a moment. And let's switch to the next tab, which is related to the demo dashboards. Hold on for a moment. Look at that, my account already has all that information about the system that I configured right there. And it's already showing some graphs. Let's give it some time to collect more data and go back into the existing demo. So the dashboards are quite easy to configure. You will have an option to create multiple dashboards for different reasons. And let me show you a few things on already configured dashboard. You can move the things around. You can change the size of all of those widgets as you please. And all that information can be instantly saved in the in NGINX Amplify cloud. So the customization of every graph is quite a bit interesting. You can create multiple metrics. You can create single metric for multiple NGINX instances, and you can apply different filters to every metric. In this example, we are showing the aggregation of the same metric of number of requests across multiple instances of our NGINX containers. So in this case, this shows you an aggregation of that. And we can add another metric right here. And let me just slowly scroll through the list of metrics that we have. The metrics start with the Amplify agent metrics themselves. And then they go into the NGINX caching, NGINX HTTP connections, and HTTP requests, status, versions, and then the upstream metrics. Also, that includes the metrics on NGINX worker processes as their CPU, memory consumption, and so on. Then we will see a number of metrics that are only NGINX Plus related. So just by the nature of the product, it has more metrics within it. So those metrics can be easily understood and deployed into NGINX Amplify. But if you have NGINX open source, you can continue using that. And NGINX open source allows you to get a number of different pieces of data from its logs and from the stub status module. OK, so let me scroll down into the system metrics. And the system metrics show you the data like the CPU, memory consumption, disk I/O, and networking data. All right, so let's zoom out from that. And we looked at the way to create a list of a number of different metrics. A good example right here will show you a graph which has the health checks, the successful health checks, the failed health checks, and the unhealthy responses. All of them are different metrics from the same NGINX Plus instance. So once again, you can aggregate that across multiple instances, or you can create single metrics of the same NGINX instance. Let's go in a little bit more detail into the set of metrics with filters that we have configured and that was shown during the keynote. So this particular graph shows us the response time of one specific URL. In this case, this is the URL called feed reports, and we need to know how our reports in this particular system operate. So we need to know the latency of that particular page. And we can use that, we can combine that data from our instances with a specific filter deployed. In this case, our filter is created on the base of a URL. And the URL equals API feed reports. That's quite easy. Other things that are quite useful here would be, for example, HTTP host metrics. Let's say you have an NGINX configuration which serves a number of different websites. With this tool, you will be able to create the graphs on particular metric against each and every virtual host that you have. It's easy to add and aggregate similar filters together. So here's the thing that needs to be properly created. When the filter is deployed, the NGINX Amplify agent on the system starts to collect data and starts to collect metrics based on that filter. NGINX Amplify does not collect all the logs in the cloud. The logs and the logs and the agents are working on your system together with your NGINX installation. So that's why the filters start collecting data only after we create the filter. All right, let's go back out here. And other set of metrics includes different cache-based and upstream metrics already configured right here. NGINX Amplify agent collects the data from the system-level tools, from NGINX logs, and from the status and stub status modules of NGINX Plus and NGINX open source. Which means that the agent needs to understand your configuration files. It needs to go into the config files. Right now, if we go back in our configuration right here, you already can see that we see all the NGINX related metrics in our new system. Since we already can see them, you might ask how the Amplify agent figured out where the logs are located and what kind of format is used for the logs. And the Amplify agent is doing that automatically. It parses all the configuration files. It parses the log format directives that you can have in the configuration files. And it understands the custom log formats and the variables in those logs. Let me open up a couple of metrics right here in the graph view. So it's interesting that we just configured this system, and we already have a number of requests going through it. This is really great. The dashboards have not been created yet, so we'll get to that in a moment. And here's our system right there. Oops. I guess I misconfigured something. Let's see what it is. Let me take a look at the configuration report. So as I showed before, NGINX Amplify is able to look into the configuration files, and it does the static analysis of the configuration directives. Hey, Eugene. All right. So we're looking at a number of different virtual servers, the SSL configurations, and the static analysis. So let's take a look at what warnings and what information will it provide for us. The configuration analysis shows us a warning that there must be a server name, and there is a good idea to configure a server name right there for every listen directive and for every server block. So it means that the server block for our status dashboard was not correctly configured. Since I know the IP address, I will enter that directly. Let's see if we have it right there. All right, so I see a bunch of traffic going on through a number of backends, and already right now, NGINX Amplify helps me to understand that the server name directive needs to be configured properly. If I check in my server block right there, it really doesn't have a server name. Let's keep it easy for now. All right, let's give it a moment to download the new report, and meanwhile I will create an empty simple dashboard. All right. Let's set a simple graph on a number of requests per second. And let's do this. Let's do the upstream request count right here. We can add the instance right there, and we can choose which upstream node we are taking that value from. Here we go. Now we have it configured, and with the dashboard, we see the number of requests coming in right there. All right. Let me go back into a full configuration right there, and I will show you another interesting feature of NGINX Amplify, which is the alerting system. So you can create different alerts on different conditions, And right here we can we can create a metric which can be as simple as the status of Amplify agent, which is going to be a 1 or a 0, or it can be something more complicated, like a number of requests with a particular response code, or a request with a particular HTTP versions going over or under a specific threshold. The alerts will be sent to the specified email, and they are delivered once the alert triggers, and then every 30 minutes. So it will not overflood the email inbox. Let's go back for a moment into this system and see if we have the configuration set up right there, and if our new configuration analysis shows the correct changes in the number of server names. All right, I can scroll through that configuration for quite a while, for the simple reason that this configuration includes a number of inconsistencies for the reason of the demo. It shows us the very interesting values of the listen directive that cannot be compatible with, that are not advised to use with NGINX. In different cases, when your location is defined with irregular expressions that are not optimal or can be even ignored, that also shows directly in the configuration. And it shows it together with the configuration line. And with the configuration, when the changes can be done with an addition or with the addition of specific configuration directives, it is also showing the configuration directives that it needs to be added in the configuration itself. So let's take a look what was meant by this location directive that doesn't include this beginning and the end of the regular expression symbols. So if we go into line 30 of our configuration, yeah, it's showing it right there. There is a set of regular expression that is not ideally configured. So this is a very interesting tool that can be useful for your own configuration right now. And if you want, you can run your existing configs through NGINX Amplify and see the reports on all the configuration inefficiencies. All right, so what we looked at was a set of graphs, a number of custom dashboards, the reports, with the static configuration analysis and the alerting. So at this point, let's go back to the slides that we have. And Andrew, do you want to continue?
Yeah. Thank you, Nick. Great demo. So I was just going to say that the Amplify product is in free public beta. So you are all welcome to try it, and I would really encourage you guys to talk back to us through Intercom, which is the embedded chat and the product feedback system that we use. Here are the resources that might be very useful for you when you're starting. So basically the links to the docs, and you can reach out through Twitter, and you can even email Nick if you have questions. And the other thing is that we'll be having a meetup specifically dedicated to Amplify very shortly at 7 p.m., I think.
Yes, the meetup is happening at room 406, which is just next door to the welcome party that we will have. So
yeah, so if you want to talk more to us about this, ask questions, provide your opinions, anything basically, and have a t-shirt like this one, and maybe have a chance to grab a hoodie. So come over to the meetup, talk to us. That would be really very useful. And again, thanks a lot. Try it out. Tell us what you think. Now,
all right.
There's
well,
this question?
The good thing about our timing is we left exactly 5 minutes for the questions. So if we have a microphone right there, and while the microphone is being ready, let me ask a question to ourselves that we very often receive, and we already saw that at the booth many times. And the question was that if Amplify only supports or only comes together with an NGINX Plus subscription. So the answer to that question will be no. You can use Amplify with your NGINX open source installation for free. You don't have to install NGINX Plus if you don't want to.
Yeah, that's correct. So we've been developing this product with the users of NGINX open source in mind specifically. So yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question. So you said you are using static analysis of NGINX configuration file. And what if there is a if block in the configuration file and determined by the value of the variable? You're using two different NGINX log files. How does NGINX Amplify find which file it uses?
Yeah, that's a limitation now. So we've been trying to come up with a solution for that, which is going to be most probably that we are going to just assume the variables as a wildcard and just take both logs or whatever number of logs are there for analysis. But I mean, basically, there is no way for our agent to behave exactly like NGINX does because the variables, at least some of them, are really like runtime. So you can't really kind of come up with their value unless you are NGINX. Yeah. But maybe, I mean, in the future, we will integrate it more with NGINX code. So that's another possibility. I mean, just to add a little bit more to this question and to the actual description of what the agent is. The agent is actually completely independent from either NGINX open source or NGINX Plus. It's a lightweight Python application which runs on the same host, and it tries to be as independent as it can. At the same time, trying to collect as much metrics as it can from the NGINX logs, NGINX stub status, or NGINX extended status, and from the process metrics. So this is how we wanted to do that, to be compatible, to be backwards compatible with every other legacy setup, so that we're not only offering it to people who are using, say, I don't know, version 1.11.1 or whatever. So you can use it with any version of NGINX. Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Simple question about the agent. Is it capable of uploading data through proxy? Because most of the production networks are...
Yeah, it certainly can. Yeah, definitely. This has been a very common question.
Okay.
All right. So you will be able to ask a lot of questions to our team at the expo hall.
There's one more.
Oh, all right. Sorry, I didn't see you. Yeah. Yes, I see you there.
Hi, I was just wondering if you have a centralized log repository instead of storing it on the NGINX servers. How does Amplify deal with that?
So if we would be talking about the logs of NGINX and produced by NGINX, those logs will be continued to be stored exactly on the system where they are right now, within your NGINX instances and your NGINX file system.
Yeah, I think the question is about... Like,
however, the logs, the metrics of Amplify and the time series data and all the data that is presented to you through the web interface is currently stored on premises of Amplify, which is inside the Amazon cloud.
Yeah, I think the question was actually, what if I kind of syslog the logs to a centralized log solution, right?
That's correct. We transport our logs via syslog to a separate system because we would generate too much on the local system.
Right. Yeah. So for the very high load environments like that, where people are actually collecting the logs via syslog, it can't do anything from logs now. But we have a plan to implement a syslog sort of proxy in the agent so that it can actually pass the logs through it and extract the information on the fly.
All right, thanks.
Yeah.
All right, looks like we're running out of time, so we will be able to take a lot of more questions at the Expo Hall, at the NGINX Amplify meetup, and basically at the Amplify meetup, we will ask you to share more information with us on how you want the monitoring system and NGINX Amplify, how do you want it to be, and what features you want in the system. So we are making it for you, and we need your feedback.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.